All right, my friends, thank you for joining us. That's Blue Cheer with Rock Me Baby at KSKQ on a Sunday night. As promised, we've got Country Joe McDonald on the phone lines. And why make people wait? Let's go ahead and say one thing. Please be patient with us. We might have some weird noises, echoes, feedback, things like that happen during the interviews because of the phone lines. Just be patient, and let's bring him on now. Country Joe McDonald, we're so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And I hope you can hear us okay.
I hear you just fine.
Great.
Are you calling from Berkeley?
Yes, I am.
Nice. We are so really honored to have you here. I know you've recently retired. Are you still continuing to do interviews and things like that, or no?
Very seldom.
Well, we're grateful.
We are grateful. We're community radio, and we're just honored so much to have you here on the Church of Rock this evening.
Great.
With your recent retirement, let's start there, I guess. Do you have anything planned? Are you just taking it easy in life, or do you have anything you're doing with retirement?
No. I'll just see what happens. I won't be practicing as much.
Yeah, right.
And I won't be traveling to go to gigs. My wife is retiring too, so we'll probably do some day trips and spend some time with our grandkids.
That sounds like a decent plan. I was really amazed at the amount of work you've done in your history. It was over 30 albums, correct?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, about 30.
You just such a vast array of music, and I've got a lot of it in my own collection. But with all of those releases, I just don't even have anywhere, close to the whole thing or anything like that, One of the things that was really interesting that a lot of folks might not know about is that you released the very first album ever of Woody Guthrie songs, Thinking of Woody, which is the most excellent work, by the way. And we wonder what your thoughts these days are about one of America's great activist troubadours. What do you think about Woody these days?
And kind of what influenced you to do the album of Woody Guthrie songs?
Well, I got a solo contract with Vanguard Records, which was the label that Country Joe and the Fish were assigned to, and it was decided I would go down to Nashville and record a country western album, and we recorded it so quickly that we had some time left over, and we decided we'd do another album, and somebody got the idea to do a Woody Guthrie album, so that's how we happened to record that tribute to Woody Guthrie album with those great session musicians who'd recorded with all the great country and western musicians and a lot of hit country and western songs. They didn't know who Woody Guthrie was, but they recognized the melodies because he used traditional melodies.
Yeah. Interesting. And here at KSKQ Radio, we're a member of the Pacifica Network, as a longtime Berkeleyite. Any thoughts about the network's financial woes, given that KPFK Pacifica was founded in Berkeley 70 years ago?
I don't follow the Pacifica situation very much, but I've heard that KPFA here in Berkeley is in danger of closing. Actually, that's what I heard. They have some problems with huge debt incurred by WBAI, I think, out of New York City. But I'm just telling you what I read in the newspapers. So on the Woody Guthrie thing, also, there were two Woody Guthrie tribute concerts held when Woody Guthrie died. One was in 1968 in New York City, and one was in 1970 in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Bowl. And those two, lots of people were at those two concerts, and I was at the Hollywood Bowl concert, and they have just released on Bear Family a booklet and the recordings from those highlights from those two concerts. I can't.
That's cool.
I can't remember what the title of the box set is, but it's a very nice box set. In case anybody's interested, it just came out within the past 3 months, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're definitely interested. I'd love to check that out.
And speaking of your vast array of work, out of your at least 33 albums that I counted, do you have a particular favorite or two among those?
Well, it depends depends on there's some electric music for the mind and body probably is my favorite of Country Joe and the Fish, and the EP also. There were 2 EPs. One with 16 to Die Rag on it, the EP number 1 acoustic jug band, and one with electric band Country Joe and the Fish. Those, as far as Country Joe and the Fish are concerned, I like the All Star Band album that I did with a rock band after Country Joe and the Fish that was in the 70s and had a lot of gender stuff in it. There were more women than men in that rock band. Also, I like War, War, War. It's Robert W. Service World War I poems that I put to music. It's something that I'm really proud of.
I need to track that one down, Joe. I'll be honest, I've never heard it, but I'd like to try to track that down, maybe through eBay or something, or if you got it.
You can find it occasionally because it's not in print anymore, but I had so many requests for it that about a year ago I recorded it live up in Canada. So I do have a War CD that you can get through my website, countryjoe.com, and order it, which has everything on it. But Vanguard has not released the original. It's pretty expensive if you do find it on Amazon or something like that.
Okay, it's a challenge, man. Also, thanks to Rick Jensen. He's a huge Country Joe fan. He submitted a lot of questions tonight, so we're using some of Rick's stuff, to be honest, and to give credit where it's due. One of the coolest things about Country Joe, Tracy, I don't know if you knew, but one of the coolest things I think about you is you were president of your high school marching band.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the marching band, and it was also a concert band, too. And
Nice.
I was a student conductor.
Nice.
But to go into a classical career as a trombonist, but I dropped out of the band and started taking journalism and playing the guitar in my senior year of high school.
Wow. It's amazing what other avenue your life could have taken if you had continued with the trombone and the classical avenue.
Yeah, I could have been playing like third trombone in the LA Symphony.
Right.
You know, it's speaking of other types of music other than rock or whatever, your old cohort and drummer from the Fish, Gary Chicken Hirsch, is a longtime Ashland resident where we're at now. He's well known in the Rogue Valley as a jazz drummer, and he kind of turned us down for an interview. But anything you'd like to say in case he's listening tonight?
I think he turned us down because the title being Church of Rock, you know, and yeah.
Not jazzy enough.
Oh, I think that, I don't know. Gary is kind of a shy person, so that might have just been it.
Oh, I see.
That yeah, and he brought to the band a jazz approach to it, which was one part of the distinctive sound of Country Joe and the Fish.
Absolutely, yes. Just out of curiosity, I was looking the other day. There is a website on the internet, and it's kind of one of the definitive lists of where you go to kind of search for the top bands of every single era. And I was looking at it yesterday and discovered that on the psychedelic bands, it's like, you know, the 150 top psychedelic bands, you guys are like number 6 or something on there. And I was just like, wow, you know, I wonder if he's aware of that, you know, you guys are so high up on that list, and there are just huge bands that are way beneath you guys. And I thought that was pretty cool. And anyway, if you're not aware, I wanted to make you aware. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Well, I'm not that surprised because I think that electric music for the mind and body and Fixing to Die, those first 2 Country Joe and the Fish albums, that was really the definitive psychedelic sound.
Yeah.
Not too many. A lot of people who get credit for being in the psychedelic era, really all they did was to play rhythm and blues songs or folk music songs with electric instruments, and it wasn't. The unique thing about Country Joe and the Fish was that it was a very eclectic an eclectic sound, and it was based around all original material that I wrote.
Interesting. So you're kind of one of the first guys to technically release psychedelic music.
Absolutely, 1967.
That's what I'd always read, that electric music was pretty much the quintessential first defining psychedelic record, you know?
I won't argue with that.
You did some shows for the 50th anniversary. How were those?
Oh, I had a great time. A guy named Alec Palau, who's a bass player, but he also puts together compilation sets, and he did he did album notes for the first release out of Ace Records out of England of the first 2 Country Joe and the Fish albums on a mono and stereo, because it existed in mono and it also existed in stereo with extensive album notes. He also wrote album notes for a release that's happening right now called Wave of Electrical Sound out of Concord, which is the same thing, mono and stereo releases of the first 2 albums, but it's in vinyl with a pretty big booklet too, and you can get that just now. But we were working on an exhibit for the Berkeley Historical Society on the decade of the 60s music in Berkeley, and we got together, played a benefit, and he put together some people to play the music from the first album, and then we got the idea. I was so surprised because I really never dreamed that I would play some of those compositions ever again with an electric band.
How cool.
I hadn't played some of them in 40 years, actually.
Wow.
And then we did like about 8 gigs locally. It was really a lot of fun for me.
Sounds like it. What a great career you've had, man.
Well, it's been pretty good, and it paid the rent, and I'm not complaining about it.
I'm kind of going to go a little bit of a different direction, if you don't mind. We have so many questions that we could probably keep you on the phone all night, but this is kind of just more skewing towards the political kind of social climate right now. I just kind of wondered, what your thoughts are. I don't want to get, too political, but I kind of see some parallels, even though I wasn't around in the 60s. I was born in 1970, but I kind of see some parallels between kind of the current political climate and the current administration and kind of the millennials kind of getting active in politics, and the amount of protests that are taking place and rallies in the streets. And I just kind of wonder what your thoughts were, kind of in a nutshell, about today's kind of political climate, and if you see any similarities to that of the late 60s, and if you kind of have hope for the future and for these up and coming millennials kind of making the dream come alive, that in a sort of way kind of failed to do so back in the late 60s, early 70s. I just kind of wanted to ask you what your thoughts were about that.
Well, it's hard to compare the particular issues because there were 2 things that were galvanizing us as a generation then was civil rights, segregation, and the war in Vietnam. But I do believe that the most important issue in America today, and I've thought this for decades now, is gender issues, women's issues, because patriarchy and male leadership has really gotten us into the terrible situation that we're in now. So I believe that the Million Women March of last year was like a Woodstock for that generation of people. And it's not really a generation because it's multi-generational, but it's a gender issue, and we're going to see the ripple effect of that happening well into the future and globally. I don't know what the repercussions are going to be because we have a lot of very serious democracy is under attack, and patriarchy is leading us into a dead end, a very serious ecological dead end. But I was really amazed to see the freestyling aspect of this women's movement, because normally you would see with the left, the political left is guilty of not recognizing and not being creative in the past 2 decades. But you can see in this handmade signs that people carry around with them,
Absolutely.
that they're each doing their own thing, but collectively, and the spirit of peace and love is alive with these people, and the power of a united women working for peace and love in America, and the world is watching America now, because just in my personal opinion is that the current administration is very fascistic,
Yes.
and the radical right and the fascists and Nazis in America and globally are flexing right now, and they'll get away with whatever they can get away with if they're allowed to do it. So
I got to agree. And I was really impressed yesterday by the women's marches that took place around, our country and elsewhere, the massive numbers that showed up. I completely agree with you that women are speaking out and collectively trying to make a difference. And, I couldn't agree with you more. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to see if you kind of saw any parallels between, and I do agree with we have a war going on, but it just seems like it's never ending. Like the Middle East, we've been there for so long that we're still there. So you can't really compare it to Vietnam. But I really think that the American people are just tired of war as a whole. It's got nothing to do with freedom, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion.
These wars that are going on are patriarchal wars.
They are.
They're not matriarchal wars. And I thought it was really interesting watching the television about the shutdown, because I just watch CNN and MSNBC all the time. I'm addicted to it. And you see all these white men in suits,
Yeah.
just blah, 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 and
making decisions for women, making decisions about, their health care, what they do with their bodies, and those sorts of things. So I hope in my lifetime that I see that change.
What's going to happen in the next elections that are coming up? If women want to change the world, they can change the world. It's very simple as that,
Well, and kind of taking it to a different corner right now. Are you friends by chance with Baba Ramdas?
No, I'm not.
I just wanted to ask you, because we've had Wavy Gravy on a lot, like 4 times in the last couple of years, and he's close to Ramdas, and we always kind of morph into the talking about Ramdas. So I thought I'd take a chance to see if you might have been friends with him or whatever.
Be here now.
Wavy's a neighbor of mine. I know Wavy.
I figured you guys were close.
My kids went to his camp, Win a Rainbow.
I hear it's a pretty awesome camp.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and my wife was a nurse there at the camp for a while too.
Awesome. It's a great cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're a longtime Berkeley resident. How long have you been living in Berkeley, Joe?
I came here in 1965.
Wow, that's your town.
Yeah.
Back to music a little bit. Do you have any favorite newer artists that are maybe making music today?
I don't really listen to new music, and like I watch Saturday Night Live, and they have these new artists on there, and I can't understand anything they're saying. And the subject matter, well, we're back to romance subject matter, which I find boring. The last music that I was really into was hip hop and rap, and I stopped with Tupac. That was 15 years ago.
Okay.
There are some really good, socially conscious, very poetic rap artists out there. Some guys like Russ and people like that. That are out there doing some really good socially conscious music, and their way with words. These guys just blow me away. I like rap, but I like rap that has something to say, that is positive and makes a difference. So I'm kind of surprised to hear you say the last thing that you were really into was Pac and stuff like that. That's awesome.
I listen to, and I also KALX is one of my favorite stations here in Berkeley, the Cal radio station. They're very eclectic. I just like all kinds of music except for pop music. I don't really like pop.
Yeah. And that's what we do here on the Church of Rock. We are kind of known for being all over the place. We play roots music from the 1930s and 40s all the way up through, rockabilly and psychedelic music, classic stuff, all the way up to the present, but not a lot that's, real current. But yeah, we're all over the place as well. So
only the good stuff.
Just
funny, somebody sent me MP3s of 400 60s songs, and I've been playing them in my car.
Nice.
Because I never really listened to like a lot of stuff. I'm really surprised. Like today, I was listening to Hot Tuna, and I thought, "Wow, they're great."
Right, Yorma.
and Commander Cody. I thought, "Wow, I never heard this stuff before." So I mean, I was pretty busy just working and doing my own stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, back when you were a younger guy, you were an air traffic controller in the Navy, and then you became a hippie. I wonder, do you still consider yourself a hippie?
Whatever that means.
Yeah, the values of being a hippie are still with me. That's my
nice
and socialism that I grew up with too.
I was hoping that you'd say yeah, because I consider you still to be the same, Joe. We all have to get older physically, all of us, but your heart has always been right where it's at, and it really where it matters in social causes and beautiful music,
Funny, I was, Tom Petty, that Autopsy just came out on Tom Petty, and
wow.
I was thinking, because he went out and he did that 53
shows, yeah,
tour. He had a lot of really hit tunes, so he didn't need money.
With a broken hip.
And he had a fractured hip, and I thought, wow. I mean, he essentially died a slave to his work.
Yeah.
And Prince did the same thing.
Yeah.
Prince did exactly the same thing with painkillers, and I thought, wow, I'm just glad that I'm going to retire. I retired, and I'm going to stay home and enjoy my life, and I'm not going to die on the road.
Stay off the drugs, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
We were really saddened by Tom Petty, and just kind of just
it's
sad.
a rough business being a traveling musician. It's manual labor. It's really, really hard.
And I would like to let people know, if you're tuning in right now, you're listening to KSKQ Radio and the Church of Rock radio show with our exclusive interview with rock legend and activist, also Country Joe McDonald. It's a super honor to have him on the phone with us. You can go to countryjoe.com. He's got all kinds of great releases on there, and you can check out for yourself the archives. Are you available to sign and autograph stuff if people order from your website? Do you sign any of the merchandise, Joe?
Yeah, if they order something, they can request a signature, and I'll sign it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Very cool. And we've got a listener up in Portland, Audreezy, who's a big fan, and she was wondering how she would get you to sign something. I said, hey, maybe if you order something from the website. So now we know.
Yep.
Tracy, I think Tracy has a question for you.
Well, I just kind of a broad question, and I know that you have been asked about this to death, but I know our listeners are going to be upset with us if we don't ask about, just about Woodstock. Just kind of what your take, if you have anything that stands out in your mind about Woodstock, if there's any one memory that jumps out at you. And also, did you have any feeling at the time that, I know you couldn't foresee the cultural significance that Woodstock would take on and become, but did you kind of have the feeling at the time, that what what you were doing and what was happening was going to be like just legendary. And also, is there any memories that kind of jump out at you about that legendary day or days?
Great question.
Well, I had no idea that it would become the important event that it was, but it was a wonderful event. I had a great time. I got there the day before it started, and I was there for all 3 days. Of course, I got to see Jimi Hendrix play the Star Spangled Banner. I was standing there in the mud, watching him do that on stage.
So you stayed to the very end then?
I stayed to the very end, and I was there when Richie Havens played, so I was there from the very beginning. And the music was really incredible and great. I had no idea they were filming it, and it launched my solo career, of course, with the cheer and fixing the dye rag and the film, and it was great. I feel blessed to have been a part of that, because I wasn't supposed to perform solo singing that song, and it just happened. They just asked me to fill in some music before Santana, so Santana was caught up in traffic and couldn't get there in time. So
wow.
So it was just kind of a thing, and great to do that, to give a voice to Vietnam veterans and the protest against the Vietnam War. It was great.
Wow.
Well, and also, just the I'll call it the fish cheer, just because we're on radio.
Yep. You can't say cuss words.
And what it did. I mean, it kind of evolved into what it did after the Berkeley, the whole Berkeley free speech movement, which was started a couple years before Woodstock. But I don't know if you have any idea of the significance of what that did for the free speech movement that was taking place at the time. And I'm sure you were a part of the whole Berkeley student movement of the, I think it was.
No, I was not. I'm not a university student. I did 3 semesters of college, but I was not part of the University of California Berkeley free speech movement.
Did you have any idea what that was going to kind of do for free speech, freedom of speech? I mean,
well, the free speech movement was about the right to talk about political things on campus. It wasn't about obscene language.
Right, right.
But I remember being up on Whidbey Island doing a performance, and I did the cheer, of course, that night, and I was there the next day taking care of some business, and a woman came in with her young child in a stroller, and we started talking, and she said that she was there with her mother that night, and she said it was the first time her and her mother had yelled that word together.
Bonding.
And I thought, okay, that's great. I'm bringing families together.
Well, yeah, and you were one of the only musicians to be fined, right? I think it was in Massachusetts. You were fined like $500 for saying
the F word.
Yeah, that's right.
Good for you.
We did our homework.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we really certainly appreciate being able to have a chance to talk with you. Not only are we the hosts and producers of this 18-year running show, but we are big-time fans since the 1970s of Country Joe. So thanks for taking the time to take us seriously, because we certainly take you seriously, man.
Well, thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
And we will definitely be ordering some stuff off your website. We already have like lots of your releases, but we're gonna dig around on there and see what we don't have, and we'll be ordering from there soon. And again, thank you so much, Joe. It's really been an honor.
You're welcome. Good night.
Take care. Blessings, my friend. Country Joe McDonald.